Hello, everybody. Welcome to Little Rusty Buckets. If it looks like I'm in a good mood, that's because I am. Because finally, something that I feel was inevitable went down, which is Donald Trump and Elon Musk have finally broken up. To me, this was obvious. Like, who else smashed the under on this blowing up in 6 months? Because that seemed pretty obvious to me. Doge was a complete disaster, which is also something that was pretty obvious to economists all around the world. Unfortunately, the problem of government spending is not as simple as it being used on like aid programs for very small funds individually. It's actually the overwhelming amount of investment in the military-industrial complex. Apparently, Elon was doing drugs constantly. Not that Donald Trump isn't kind of known for something like that similar. I know he's had issues with like being addicted to amphetamines, but apparently Elon Musk was on everything under the sun, especially hardcore hitting the ketamine. And as a result of his general antics throughout last year's political cycle through this year now, and him just becoming one of the most unpopular human beings who's ever existed on Earth, I think, he is burning the stock of the very company that is like the main reason why he's famous, a company that he bought from someone else and made it out like it was his own, which is something that he's done 1,000 times over. But I'm very glad that I refuse to invest in Tesla stock on principle. Pretty much, I've always invested just a little bit of money in the stock market through... And Tesla is always one of the top stocks that is always recommended to you. And I was just like, even if Tesla does well, I don't want to profit from them. I don't want, when good things happen for Musk, good things to happen for me. I would rather not have that money. I know that's kind of a weird perspective, but I also kind of felt like Tesla was inevitably going to have a huge negative due to Elon Musk's forward-facing approach towards being a large member of the council there, ownership and all of that. They originally thought that was an asset because when Musk started being a more forward-facing person initially, it didn't go so bad because he wasn't leaning into Nazi rhetoric right out of the gate. Apparently, Tesla stock is down 37% this year, and that makes me very happy. The question I have is, how are you the richest man on earth, and you still manage to find yourself in the situation where you got fired for being too much of a junkie? That is a special level of failure that I cannot even really comprehend. And that's something that a lot of people, especially those who still to some degree or another believe that there's anything special intellectually about either of these two men, is that they are masters of failing upwards. However, typically speaking, there is a cap on how much you can fail upwards. And when you fail upwards, it gives you undue confidence and it makes you believe that you can do anything, such as completely fixing the budget of the entirety of the United States in a couple of months. That type of hyperbolic thinking you only get from finding success despite your shortcomings, because when you have a certain amount of money and a certain amount of power, you can always find a way to come out on top, even if someone more competent actually would have come out on top far more. Real power hides in the shadows, and I think Elon showing his dumbass fucking face for too long has absolutely ruined his reputation, and I'm actually very thankful for it. As much as I do hate Elon Musk, and I'll say this, I've never hated another individual person more than I hate Elon Musk. What he has done that is so beautiful is he has gotten rid of the myth of meritocracy, this idea that you can be the richest man on earth because you just simply worked harder than everybody else. The fact of the matter is there's no amount of hard work that any human being is capable of to make them deserving of having $300 billion. No amount of work has been done by one person that gained $300 billion. Now, if you want to be generous, are there things that he did that led to that? Even if I did say he's failing upwards all the time, sure. Whatever. Maybe he contributed positively more than negatively. However, he's dumb and Donald Trump is dumb, but they have money, they have power, they have charisma for insane people anyways, but there's definitely, especially for Trump, people that find him charismatic, but that's especially not so much the case for Elon Musk as much as he has tried to be charismatic. He's tried to be like a meme lord. Meanwhile, calling yourself a meme lord in 2025 is nightmare fuel. Like, do you also want to say Roar XD in the middle of that sentence? Like, so many levels of behind. But if Musk wants to make this a him versus Donald Trump thing, well, I got bad news for Elon Musk, which means it's good news for everybody else. Donald Trump is going to win that battle pretty easily because Elon Musk's foreignness was something that was tolerated to a point. When he was in line, when he was saying what he was supposed to say around the Republicans, then they were happy to embrace him, or at least pretend to, because he's a very, 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 very useful idiot. In fact, I think he's the most useful idiot in human history. Again, checking off some major boxes in douchebaggery for Elon Musk there. Now that he's betrayed Daddy Trump, the last swaths of people who supported him are dying out. There's still holdouts. There's always still going to be holdouts. But at this point, Elon is overwhelmingly hated far more than he is loved. And I think far more than he was ever loved. I think that liberal darling shit was always overrated. I didn't like him before he was a Nazi because I just don't like mega rich people. Speaking of liberals, I do just want to say, to call my shot here, I all but am certain that if this breakup goes down and Elon Musk starts just parroting the points of the other side as a way to go against Trump, there will be Democrats who are like, Elon Musk, you should be a Dem. Come over to our side, big guy. Because, of course, they care more about the money than anything he's said or done before. And liberal politicians are fucking spineless and heartless, and they're just going to go along with whatever is going to fund their campaign better. And that is very depressing. The reality of this last election is both parties offered nothing real, nothing of substance, but one party had the richest man in the fucking world pulling for them, buying the platform that's one of the bigger sources of political discourse on the internet and turning it right wing as much as he possibly had the power to. Not that that stopped people from tweeting, will someone do it already, constantly. Basically, he's the reason that Trump won. That's something that he said himself, and I actually agree with him on that. And now you just have two of the biggest petty man baby children, pussy ass bitches, egomaniacs going back at each other, going back and forth at each other. So Elon, the big moment out of all of this was he tweeted out that Donald Trump hasn't released the Epstein files because he's in them, which the first thing I thought was, yeah, I know. Was that a secret? Like, that's an open secret. Like, people know that he is in there to some capacity or another. And I think if you're any amount of reasonable, then you would recognize why he hasn't let those files out. In fact, I know I saw an interview clip on Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart can be very hit or miss because he is very libbed up. However, in this case, pointed out an interview clip where Trump's like, yeah, I'll release the 9/11 files. Yeah, I'll release the JFK files. Well, the Epstein stuff we want to be careful about because you don't know how much of it's true. You don't want to ruin anybody's lives if it turns out to be false. So suddenly he has a nuanced answer with a bunch of layers versus everything else he was fine dropping immediately. But at the same time, pointing out that Trump is in those files is also the pot calling the kettle black. You're in those fucking files too, buddy. We've seen the photos with Ghislaine, whatever this, how you ever say her name, Ghislaine Maxwell, whatever. The photos exist. The associations are there. You're one of the most powerful men in the world, and that dramatically increases the chances that you were on an Epstein plane. It's also curious that he chose to work with Donald Trump, knowing that he is in those files, apparently, without saying anything until he fired him. either he learned at the very last second that that was the case, or he knew it and bit his tongue on it until he finally had a reason to spit venom in Donald Trump's direction. And to me, in that behavior, it makes it clear as day with the manner in which these men behave, especially Elon recently, because Trump has been more reserved than we know Trump is capable of. 2016 Trump, whole different animal in this equation. But it's very clear how little they care about anyone but themselves through what they say and how they choose to say it. But more importantly, it's clear as day in their behavior, because their words still suggest that their motivation is to make things better. Elon said that his pursuits in Doge were all about making America better. Definitely convenient that none of his budget cuts had anything to do with the subsidies that his companies were getting from the government, something that Donald Trump pointed out. And again, I think he was right about that, even if he's the biggest douche in the world. But like, this reminds me of the golf thing with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, when they had like an hour to speak to the American people about what their platform was and what they disagreed with about each other. They spent like 2 minutes going back and forth about how good Donald Trump is at golf. That should be clear as day that in Joe Biden, same way, petty man-child. So many of these politicians are grown-ass men who behave like children, and they have no real interest in anything good or useful. They're interested in presenting that way, being seen as that, and then doing whatever the fuck they want otherwise. Like Donald Trump continues to be this, like, have this reputation or this angle of being like a peacemaker. Meanwhile, he's still sending money and bombs to Israel. The fallout of this was inevitable. When you have two gargantuan egos in the same room, it's inevitable. This was a bigger ego clash than Kobe and Shaq could have ever dreamed of. Those guys still got some championships before they started really hating each other. These two, I fucking knew this would happen. And this is the good thing about this administration and about fascism in general. It is inherently cannibalistic. You are going to take out so many people that seem allies, or you are led to believe are allies, or are temporarily allies when it is convenient, but it is inherently an exclusionary ideology. It is inherently resulting in people being paranoid, people not trusting each other, and it results in poor organization that will inevitably crumble. However, what is on the flip side much more negative on that is the power that comes with having access to the resources now is more significant than it ever was before. Because talking about revolution or anything like that, drones really level the playing field, even in a numbers game there. But they're not useful. They're not good. As much as it is against their interests to behave the way they have lately, they still can't stop themselves. Like Elon Musk has lost $34 billion in the last week as a result of this fallout, and it is speculated that he has lost over $100 billion in the year of 2025 as a result of everyone fucking hating his guts. That's what's interesting, is because you're a public figure and your money is in stocks for companies that you are the face of. If your face starts being a face that everyone hates, then all of your money ends up going along with it. That's where I bring back the power is in the shadows shit. If Elon Musk was just simply behind the scenes doing all the bullshit that he does, all of these problems could have been avoided. But he is too much of an attention whore, and there's no amount of money in the world that is going to make Elon Musk comfortable with the fact that he is not funny, he is not charismatic, he is not attractive, and he's not even that fucking smart. And money doesn't save you from lame. It doesn't. Musk is the exact perfect example that money cannot save you from being a lame-ass motherfucker. Trump is also this way, but Elon Musk truly is a special level of man baby. It's ridiculous. And God, I'll tell you what. This motherfucker said, bad thing for Trump, I'm going to be here for another 40 years. You're 54. Have you seen your body? Have you seen your... Come on. Another 40 years. Whenever the day comes, there will be a video of me on this channel playing the Celebrate Good Times Come On song from middle school dances, and I will just dance on camera for 10 minutes with the song playing. That's what will happen that day for both of them. Until then, I'm gonna... your interest, and they never have. That is it. Goodbye.